indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Leslie?
One second. Don't need edit access? Okay. Sorry, I apologize.
She hit me.
Does he hear you?
Leslie?
Oh, she said, hold on.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm sorry. Um. Okay, roll call. Mark DePace,
Here?
Amanda Grubler,
here.
Kirsten Gustafson,
Here.
Willette Jones,
Here.
Calvin Lewis,
Here.
Lakia Walker. Here. And Matthew Macker is absent.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to accept the agenda as presented.
Second?
All in favor? So there's no student report.
Oh, Tommy's here. No.
No, right, I remember seeing this, all right.
Oh.
All right, thank you. Now we have presentation.
Oh.
You do got something to say?
Yep.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. Just got a couple of events to inform everyone of. This Friday, we have our talent show, which is going to take place during the school day, 9th period. And students will be released at the end of 8th period, and starting 9th period will be the talent show. Envirothon, one of our academically competitive clubs, received their oral presentation today. And at the following meeting on the 25th, I hope to have a presentation of all of our competitive clubs that we have. Environmental Club is having a flower bulb sale, and they're also selling massage coupons. National Honor Society is selling pretzels during lunch and after school. Our Queen of the Hearts dance got rescheduled. It was going to be this Saturday, but due to weather and some complication with chaperones, we had to reschedule it. That was Tryon who was scheduling that. On March 8th, Model UN is hosting an adult Model UN for the public as well as teachers and former alumni. So they'll be going through the Model UN process and writing a resolution paper with guidance of our club's members, our student members. So yeah, we're excited for that. The class of 2026 is starting up Brooks Barbecue Sales again. They do it twice a year. So they did it earlier this year. They're starting it up again. Varsity Club is putting on the Goats of the Court, which is a basketball tournament on March 11th after school for students. And during lunch right now in PE class, the upperclassmen are playing pickleball. And during lunch, there's going to be a pickleball tournament. Pretty sure that's after break. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Very fun stuff. Thank you.
Presentations, Penrose presentation?
Perfect timing.
Hello.
How are you?
Hi.
No, you were walking in as we said you were up.
Cool. Well, we'll jump right into it then. Hi, everybody. My name is Dylan Salmons. I'm Regional Vice President and Partner at Penrose. I'm joined here tonight with Jonah Riccinati. Jonah's an associate at Penrose.
Can you pull the mic a little closer to you? I think the folks in the audience can't hear.
Any better?
Yes, I think so.
I usually have a very loud voice, so I'm surprised. Again, my name is Dylan Salmons, Regional Vice President and Partner at Penrose. Jonah Riccinati is joining me here tonight to be part of this presentation. We're here to talk a little bit about what Penrose is, the interest that we have expressed in the John L. Edwards Elementary School, and to take any questions that you guys have. So enterprise overview. Penrose is a 50-year-old privately held affordable housing real estate enterprise. So we are an owner, operator, and developer of multifamily communities throughout a 26-state footprint that really focuses on affordable housing creation and preservation. As a developer, owner, operator, we're also a very invested property manager. The bulk of our 550-person staff and workforce are the folks on the ground, so property managers, porters, supervisors, property accountants. And as part of that, we take a really deep commitment to providing social, supportive, and entitlement services at our properties to maintain their affordability and their longevity and make them sustainable and inviting places to live. That's that core certification. We have a reputation across the work that we have done, which is well over 400 communities at this point, to diversity, creative execution, things that rise to the challenge and aspirations of local communities to deliver really great properties for stakeholders. We are skilled collaborators, first and foremost. I think in the last 13 years of my work here, I've done more than 1 or 2 projects where we're not in joint venture with someone else. Whether it's a not-for-profit organization, a publicly owned organization, a P3 partnership, mostly everything that we do by virtue of affordable housing being stewarded through publicly available finance provides us being collaborators. And so we look forward to doing that with you guys. We're specialists in this kind of work. I'll cover a little bit in terms of what we have in terms of adaptive reuse projects. But at this point, it's well over $500 million worth of successfully completed adaptive reuses, churches, schools, hospitals, all that fun stuff. And we love innovating. We like to keep it exciting. No 2 projects are ever the same, and so we always like to challenge ourselves with cool new uses, cool new ideas, and make something that really tailors itself to the needs of a community. So it keeps us enjoying this work. This by the numbers slide is really just intended to provide, again, some of that assurance of the transactional capacity that we have. We, year over year, generally are starting around 15 to 20 or new projects. Generally, that ranges from 1,200 to 1,800 apartments that go into the top of the pipeline every year. And then we're issuing keys to about 1,500 units a year. And so we are really making a dent in the housing program here nationally, and we love doing it. The way that Penrose works, we are regionalized into development offices that support, usually a 3-hour radius for anything that they touch. And so my team is based in Brooklyn, but really goes from Brooklyn to Buffalo. We're under construction on a little over 700 units in New York State right now. None of them are in Brooklyn. Everything is really from the mid-Hudson on out to the reaches of Buffalo. And so we're not too far from here under construction on a really cool multi-generational project in Ulster County in the city of Kingston. And so being here would not be a far flight from us, and we'll hope to start something in Newburgh later this year. And then on the other side of us here up in the capital region, we're completing 141 units in Troy, New York. So we're very active regionally in this location, easily served area, and communities that our teams know really well. We have, in the last 8 years of opening our New York regional office, been a very, very constructive partner to New York State Homes and Community Renewal. They're the state agency that allocates affordable housing finance. And so we've become a really strategic partner of scale with them. And we have really good experience using all the financing that goes into something like this, whether it's historic tax credits, the federal low-income housing tax credit, the state low-income housing tax credit, federal home loan bank funds, all the stuff that makes the layer cake of affordable housing finance on a deal like this come together. And lastly, we really want to be in Hudson. I think I've been trying actively for the last 5 years to figure out an opportunity in Hudson. We've taken a look at the housing authority's work. We do a lot of housing authority repositioning work. We went after a couple RFPs. We looked at private sites. We'd love to find something in Columbia County and more specifically in the city of Hudson. So we'd love to do it. So real quickly, I think this is helpful. I think it's really challenging when you look at some of these adaptive reuses to think about what's on the other side, even for someone who's really creatively minded. And so we've completed almost 50, I think at this point. That slide's a little old, adaptive reuse projects. Some recent ones that I think are really just beautifully executed and similar in scale-ish to JLE are ones that I wanted to cover here. So this is Mary D. Stone Apartments. This is in Auburn, Massachusetts, very recently completed. Was a very well-decorated awardee of a number of different state, local, and federal competitive projects, including the 2022 Affordable Housing Finance Reader's Choice Award. That's a really heavily competitive publication and award to receive. A lot of applicants annually, and it really just speaks to our, kind of interest in delivering highest and best adaptive reuse, really beautiful design work and stuff that's very responsive to its environments. And so a lot of these classrooms took cues, a lot of the units took cues from the original classrooms. There are elements throughout the design that bring back, chalkboards and all kinds of really cool stuff that speak to what the school once was. It was interesting because the school itself was this very small original primary school that required a little bit of new construction addition to it to make it adaptive in terms of accessibility standards and energy sustainability requirements. You find that in a lot of these older buildings. Frankly, the older buildings tend to be a little easier because they were constructed to widths and sizes that required natural light to get in. JLE is interesting because some of it's building cascades down into the topography, and so we'll be challenged with similar things like that. We have good experience with the state historic preservation offices, SHPO, and SHPO on its behalf of the National Park Service to get part 2 of these applications, the design and qualified rehabilitation expenditures approved. And so I have no doubt that we could do the same thing at JLE. This other project is really cool. This is just wrapping up. Actually, I think it's leasing its last units right now. This had a bit more quirks architecturally to it. It was built over a couple of construction periods, so similar to the 80s construction addition to JLE. This project had stuff from the 70s, 80s, and I think there was even a 90s wing construction on this project. This has become a really great calling card for us right outside the city of Boston. $45 million adaptive reuse of a middle school converted into 74 units of age-restricted affordable housing, included 10,000 square feet of commercial space, which was a community center that had learning classrooms, an art exhibition space, community meeting space. A lot of that was the function of like the really cavernous volumes inside of that school. Oftentimes, SHPO will say like, hey, we can't turn this into 10 apartments right now. This has got to stay something that has significance to it. And so in there, with a really robust, cadre of stakeholders and not-for-profits, we were able to create the community center. It also works with the 54th Regiment, which is a local volunteer organization that commemorates the 54th Regiment, and has been a really beautiful project for us. I think we've got some cool before and after. So like on the left-hand side, you see some of like the kind of vacuous space prior to renovation, and then some of the new units that got delivered. Again, like real attention to casement windows that were, replaced in kind with, meeting the standards of the original casement windows, the conversion of the auditorium into this community center that has a killer sound system, and then a beautifully landscaped courtyard that the public and residents can all enjoy. That project also worked really closely with a number of LGBTQ plus organizations, hence its name, The Pride, who were very interested in making sure that there was a carved out space for their own constituency there. And so very active during lease up, very active during its construction period, during kind of a tumultuous period in Boston's recent history in terms of like anti-gay violence. And so like it was just a really awesome project. And if anybody ever wants to travel to Boston to see something really cool, first in line to give a tour. So with that, I don't know, Joni, you want to talk a little bit about JLE?
Sure. So then on to how we looked at the development concept for JLE School, taking a lot of inspiration from this body of work that Penrose has done in other parts of the country. We looked at this as an adaptive reuse into senior affordable housing and community space. We commissioned Jamela Schaefer, an architect that we worked with on those other 2 projects, to do a feasibility study of the building. They think we can get around 67 residential units, studio and 1-bedroom units out of this building, and approximately 2,000 square feet of community center space to be operated as a youth or educational center to serve the broader community. Affordable units would be up to 50% of the area median income, which equates to a 1-bedroom income limit of about $38,725 and a net rent of about $880. And then recognizing that developments are about more than just the residents themselves, but about creating public benefits for the community, we have an idea of creating recreational areas out with the ancillary undevelopable land behind the school building, which could be purposed as a playground, outdoor fitness equipment, a cricket field, community garden, or other uses. These are a few of the design schemes we went through with Jamela Schaefer. We really took a hard look at the building, its potential it has for redevelopment, and the best scenarios we have in terms of maximizing the number of the unit to accomplish the scale that we feel like we need for this project to be economically feasible in terms of having full-time property staff on site to maintain the building and ensure long-term operations of the building, and also providing some community spaces to connect the residential community with the broader community. And then this is a closer view of the design we landed on, just the first floor. We have a mix of studio and 1 bedroom, maybe even some 2-bedroom units, 2,000 square feet of event space. We have a 900 square foot community space for the residential community, and then we have an 800 square foot fitness room. There would also be on-site offices for management staff. And then thinking about open space with some of this ancillary land behind the school, we see potential for uses such as a cricket field, playground, and outdoor fitness equipment, which is something we have at our Golden Hill project in Kingston, a community garden, and an outdoor seating area.
Yeah, I would just say this is a project that we're working on in Rockland County, and we're seeing increasingly in these pro-housing communities the ability to attract ancillary funding that help deliver bigger things. And so this project, although a big residential project to begin with, is delivering another 5 acres of public parkland as part of this. So it'll deliver a hardened storm edge. That's the Hudson River right there. So all new riprap storm edge, a boardwalk that connects back to the ferry station that takes the boat across to Ossining, and is attracting other state dollars because it's a pro-housing community delivering the housing project to create this really cool resource. So as Jonah's covering this idea about cricket fields and other stuff, those are generally newly created things that are coming along with some of this pro-housing work. So we know how to attract the funding, we know how to go after it, we'd be interested in doing it here. Sorry, Jonah.
And then proposed timeline. So really important milestones for this project. We're chasing the HCR 9% tax credit application deadline, and we've kind of worked back thinking about all the necessary design, entitlement, and financing measures we would need to take in order to get to that milestone, and that's what you see in red there. We submitted a term sheet to the board on February in 2025. Our ask here today is for a board resolution and term sheet to be executed at the next Hudson School Board meeting. From there, we would endeavor to negotiate a purchase and sale agreement with the school board. Then would start the clock in terms of the deposit structure and the feasibility period. After that period has started, we'll really need to get to work in terms of engaging the state with a submission of an HCR concept paper on this is the development plan, this is how we plan to finance it, and get an HCR's pipeline to finance this project. Another important milestone for us to recognize is that disposition of school property in New York State requires a district vote in order to approve that sale. We've heard that in this district, it would probably be best to do that in May 2025. Rezoning, the property is in need of rezoning as well as area zoning variances. We would want to commence that immediately. SHPO historic consultation, there's a 2-pronged SHPO consultation, and this is the historic preservation process with the SHPO agency in order to get historic credits. That involves a Part 1 submission, which we would endeavor to do in Q2 of 2025, and then a Part 2 submission in Q3 of 2025. And then that would result in SHPO National Park Service approval, which would be needed to deliver federal and state historic tax credits into the project. Simultaneously, we would seek to get other soft, competitive and non-competitive sources of funding into the project, including Federal Home Loan Bank of New York Affordable Housing Program funding, which we have on our Golden Hill project in Kingston and several other projects in our portfolio, as well as pro-housing community funds. It's another bucket of funding that we think this project would be great for. And then, resultingly, we would proceed to a 9% tax credit application submission with HCR. That's a competitive process, and a closing typically comes about 9 months after the submission and award of the 9% application. So that was a lot of talking from us. We'd love to open it up for broader discussion and any questions you have on the presentation.
Great. Thank you very much. We appreciate you guys coming to be here, and appreciate your enthusiasm for the property and this project.
Hi, I'm Thomas Orbinsky. I'm the student rep for the board. And you guys mentioned that you guys are big on collaboration between PPPs or NGOs or different things. And I'm curious what organizations or partnerships you guys see being like, I don't know, necessary for this project. Are those local? Are they larger scale? Or like, do you guys have any ideas for that?
Yeah, so tenancy tends to be a very local thing, and so when I say tenancy, that community facility that's shown, the 2,000 square foot, which is like right at the the left-hand side of this, where the red like window frames are, that's the space that we were thinking about could be that community service facility. And so working with a local organization to want to tenant that space for education, whether it's STEM focused or recreational focused, that would be something we would definitely be looking to do locally. Regionally, a lot of these structures rely on nonprofit participation. Gateway, the Hudson Valley, is a great not-for-profit organization that puts disabled people in connection with jobs and training. Gateway also does, I think, like the maintenance on some of the buildings locally here, and is an organization we know from Kingston who would love to be part of a project like this. So that would be another organization we'd probably like start partnering with.
Thank
But
you.
open to any ideas too.
How have you seen senior housing alongside youth centers in spaces like this
Yeah,
work in the past? Could be beautiful, and I also anticipate that there could be some conflicts there.
It's pretty regular that we find ourselves having senior facilities with like daycares or other youth educational facilities on the ground floor. They tend to go pretty well together. They tend to be groups that learn pretty well from each other. And I've seen it be very successful. The project that we're delivering at the end of the year in Kingston includes a 13,000 square foot daycare, like at the center of it, and adjacent to an 80-unit senior building as well. So pretty cool, like connection between those things.
And just in general, like, how do you guys go about, like, do you guys do CBAs, like community benefit agreements? Like, how would you engage with people to hear about their ideas and make sure they feel like they're a part of this process?
Yeah, most often the times where we've encountered like CBA work being done effectively, it's usually stuff led by the locality, like as part of a rezoning effort. We did a really cool project in Brooklyn and East New York, where the city council led a community benefit agreement with that district that included in our project it manifested in terms of affordable retail spaces. They didn't want to see retail entrepreneurs being pushed out through gentrification, and so there was a discount to the retail space there. There was also like deeper affordability requirements and the requirements for like street signage and that kind of stuff. We're open to any of that, frankly. I think like again the idea for us is that these are places that have tremendously long-lived success stories because the margins and the structure of affordable home ownership for us, or affordable ownership for us, are long-lived. And so if it comes in right and works well with the community from day one, these tend to be our most successful projects. So it's not a topic we would shy away from.
Great.
So as you may know, this building has a lot of community importance
Thanks,
and
Kristen.
significance. Many of us had young children who attended the school. In fact, I'm sure many of the people in this room went to the school when it was still active themselves. When you say that you plan to use tax credits, I assume that means you don't expect to dramatically alter the outside of the building and retain that. It's highly visible from Warren Street and active parts of town.
Yes, that like mid-century aesthetic is incredible here. It's one of the things that frankly has been something that I've been interested in with this property since I toured Hudson 15 years ago. And so yes, the idea would be, A, getting listed through the Part 1, and then B, keeping all the significance that we can, for sure.
And it looks like in the other projects you've done, but just naming, buildings like this, as if you've read the reports, have, it's a building that's been abandoned for years. There's a significant amount of work there. There's asbestos. There's like none of that
I'm sure
concerns
it's-
you in moving forward.
No, like that's a bit of a difference too. Like we from the onset are anticipating a gut renovation, like adaptive reuse, right? So like there's anticipation on our budgeting side, given the vintage of the building and what we knew when we toured it, like a year and change ago, before the last contract, that there was going to be a lot of that stuff. I did a 5-building tobacco factory complex in Winston-Salem about 10 years ago. And so like that would be something we're very well, acquainted with. There'll be a lot of selective investigation at the onset of something like this. I mean, the biggest pieces of this tend to be MEP, mechanical, electrical, plumbing chases, and how to deliver units based off of, centralized systems that used to exist. And we've got a like Demilla Schaefer Architects, who did the 2 projects that we showcased in here. They're experts at this stuff, together with our contractor. So, yeah.
Great. Well, thank you. Again, we really appreciate you guys coming up here and all your enthusiasm, and I'm sure we'll talk again soon.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate the questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Huh?
No early yes.
Yeah. That's why I do that. No early, yes. Personnel consistent. I would like to make a motion to accept personnel items A. What, just A? Yep.
A1 through 7 and B1 through 7.
Oh.
Second. Sorry.
All in favor? Welcome, staff.
So good evening, Board of Education members. Tonight, I'd like to welcome 3 new staff members to our school district. If you're here, please stand to be recognized after I read your bio. So we have Ms. Tyler Barbato, who will be teaching our business education class. So Tyler has been teaching grades 6 through 12 business for 4 years. She's thrilled to be a member of the staff at Hudson City School District and is passionate about inspiring students through real-world experiences. She prides herself in building relationships with students and the community. Tyler has a degree in business management with a minor in sports management from Newbury College in Boston, Massachusetts, and has completed multiple professional development courses. She was honored to be nominated as Teacher of the Year candidate, as well as been chosen as a hero teacher by her students. When not in the classroom, you can find Tyler coaching basketball and developing the younger generation in any way she can. We're so happy to have Tyler aboard, and welcome. Next, we have Ms. Christy J. Ferry, who will be leading our district as our Executive Director of Business and Finance. Ms. Christy J. Ferry is a dedicated education professional with significant experience in instructional leadership, school administration, grant development, and resource allocation. Her teaching career includes classroom experience as a special education teacher and a general education co-teacher in the Schenectady City School District. She then transitioned into school leadership as an assistant principal. Recognizing the broader impact of securing resources for schools, Mrs. Ferry joined the district business office as an assistant director of grants and title funding. Demonstrating expertise in strategic funding and program expansion, she advanced to Director of Grants Development, where she led strategic initiatives in grant acquisition and oversaw compliance and funding distribution. Mrs. Ferry earned building and district leadership credentials from the Massachusetts College of Liberal Arts. She received a master's in childhood education from the State University of New York at Albany, a Bachelor of Science in Elementary Education and Special Education from Rhode Island College, and an associate's degree in Liberal Arts, Humanities, and Social Sciences from Schenectady. In her free time, Mrs. Ferry enjoys visiting the coast of Rhode Island with her husband and 4 sons, and taking long walks with her golden retriever. Welcome, Mrs. Ferry. And our third team member that's going to be joining us is Mrs. Deanna James Hughes. Mrs. James Hughes' professional career is characterized by advocacy for inclusive excellence as a special education leader for the past 18 years. Her formal upbringing exemplified philanthropy, fellowship, multiculturalism, love of learning, and a fervent devotion to living considering the golden rule. For the past 7 years, James Hughes has served as district leader in East Harlem, New York, in support of building and district administrators, teachers, paraprofessionals, psychologists, related service providers, social workers, specialists, parents, students, and various departments within the New York City public school systems by evaluating IEPs for compliance, RTI mentor support, recommending academic and behavioral support programs to all for the independent learning and growing, presiding on initial evaluations, supporting emerging readers through research-based intervention programs, progress monitoring, LRE programming or least restrictive environment programming, planning, collaboration, delivering professional development and support, and supporting the CSE. As SIT or School Implementation Team and Transition Team Leader, James Hughes collaborated with a cross-functional team of educators to develop competencies of all aspects of special education, to plan, analyze, collaborate, and offer solutions to the entire school community in support of accessibility, independence, inclusivity, participation, and growth for our neurodivergent learners with an MTSS framework to create individualized recommendations. She developed and implemented high-quality IEPs, increased student voice compliance with ensure compliance, articulate the full range quality IEPs, and the full range of programs to families. She provides special education instructional supports and assesses the continuum of services in support of the LRE, the use of supplementary support aids, and to promote progress, access, and proficiency with respect to federal laws and regulations. James Hughes has advanced training in research-based interventions, progress monitoring, ASD, NESD, ABA, or applied behavioral analysis, TREP, trauma-informed instructional practices, social emotional learning, PBIS, supporting multilingual learners, families, staff development, mentoring, and AIS and RTI. Ms. James Hughes is a lifelong learner who is actively involved in various organization and professional learning opportunities as both participant and promoter of opportunities offered among various networks and platforms. Ms. James Hughes is a planning board member of NYSAWA, New York State Association for Women in Leadership, with membership in NYSALAS, New York State Association of Latino Administrators and Superintendents, ASCD, REN, or Regional Equity Network, Kappa Delta Pi, and the Wallace Foundation, with participating with IEI Institute of Education, Innovation, and a proud graduate of NYU's Change Agent Academy. She's also a member of Rethink Ed, Applied Behavior Analysis Program, NYS LOC 4ED, New York State Leaders of Color for Education, and more. She has written curriculum for the Division of Curriculum and Instruction and Office of Safety and Youth Development for New York City Public Schools, and served as content site leader scorer for New York State ELA and math examinations. Mrs. James Hughes holds an Associate of Arts from NASA Community College, a Bachelor of Arts in Media with a minor in theater from Hunter College, a Master's of Science in Education from Brooklyn College, a Master's of Science for School Business Leadership from Mercy College, and is currently in pursuit of her Doctorate of Education K-12 Leadership, EDD, from St. Peter's University with District Leadership Certification from Hunter College and School Building Certification from Mercy College. A fun fact about Mrs. James Hughes is that she's a biophilic who loves spending time gardening, investing in permaculture, and tending to her chickens. Welcome.
Okay, old business.
Yes, we have revised policy 0100 and that we would like to adopt, and at the same time also want to rescind policy 0100R, the regulation that goes along with it, because we have recently adopted policies, policy 110 and policy 115, which both outline the same complaint processes that are in 0100R. So it makes it redundant, which is why we're rescinding it based on NISBA's recommendations. Anybody have questions there? No? Cool. So then make a motion to adopt policy 0100 and rescind 0100R, non-discrimination and equal opportunity.
Second.
All in favor? And then we have reading of 0111, sex discrimination and sex-based harassment under Title IX, 0111R, the sex discrimination and sex-based harassment under Title IX regulation and policy, and 0111E, sex discrimination and sex-based harassment under Title IX exhibit. These are third readings. Love to make a motion to adopt. Right? So make a motion to adopt policy 0111, 0111R, and 0111E.
Second.
All in favor? Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to convene into the public comment period of our meeting. Although state law does not require us to hold a public comment period, we have chosen to do so because we believe it is crucial for us to hear from our community members about their concerns and issues. Having said that, please note the board is here to listen. Public comment period is not designed to be a discussion. Accordingly, please do not expect the board to respond to your concerns and questions tonight. This is because we take your concerns and questions seriously and want to have sufficient time to process and research issues if need be. We will, however, respond to your questions and concerns at a future meeting or have the proper staff member get back to you at the appropriate time. Also want to point out that under state and federal privacy laws, we're unable to entertain any comments or questions about school personnel. Did anybody sign up? No? Okay.
Okay, consensus agenda. I would like to make a motion to approve consensus agenda items
Oh, wait,
8.
skip the superintendent's
Oh,
report.
sorry.
You're good.
I'm ready.
Okay, so tonight I'd like to begin by wishing everyone a happy Black History Month. And now for my superintendent's report. So you can scan the QR code for the January newsletter. It was sent out in January, so there's a QR code, and please check all of our different communication modes that you may be able to find the January newsletter. Next, I'm going to recognize some of our team members for Spotlight on Excellence, and just to refresh everyone on what the Spotlight on Excellence is. It's an award, a recognition that I came up with as superintendent for staff members, including teachers, staff members, parents, students, that I catch doing something great, then I spotlight them. So this, I'll be doing this at every board meeting. I kind of took a pause based on some feedback that I was getting, but I am now going to start doing that again. So the first spotlight on excellence tonight goes to the junior high school faculty and staff, and it's for their ability to excel in their duties and their dedication to forge an excellent school environment. The junior high school has had perfect attendance for all faculty and staff. This occurred on January 24th. I felt like this was worth celebrating and that they deserve a spotlight on excellence, and I know that Mr. Bear is here to receive the award. And are there any other junior high faculty and staff in the audience? Please stand if you're here. Attendance matters. So then I'd like to give the next spotlight on excellence to Mr. Bedelia, Mr. Gunga Bedelia. Is he here? Mr. Bedelia is a teacher's aide. He goes above and beyond for our student that he currently works with. He's very supportive of the students in any way he helps the students inside of our school daily or also in the community. So he goes above and beyond for a student that he works with, and I thought that it would be great to spotlight his excellence work. So he's not here tonight, but Mr. Badir is receiving a Spotlight on Excellence award. Next, we have Mr. Darren Collins, our school monitor. This award goes to Mr. Collins for his ability to excel in his duties and his dedication to forge an excellent school environment. However, I have been on committees with Mr. Collins and his dedication to our school district with the attendance initiative that we're doing, as well as other committees that he's on, but he is very passionate about ensuring that our students, that he builds relationships with our students and to support them in just about any way to help them to be successful. So Mr. Collins, if you're here, you can come down and receive your spotlight. And once I'm done, if everybody would just stay for a little bit and the board we'll just all try to get a group photo with the Board of Education if we can, all right? So just give me a couple more minutes till I'm done calling the other. Next, we have Dr. Julia Coriel. I don't think Dr. Coriel is here, but the reason why Dr. Coriel is receiving a Spotlight on Excellence is because of her passion that she has shown for the students, our E&L students that she works with. She always has great ideas. She's participating on all of our different committees. She's participated in the school improvement team. She's participating in the district improvement team, as well as district-wide committees. And she's very passionate about our students. But I also know that she goes above and beyond. She attends those students' sports games outside of the school day. So she's always willing to do whatever it takes for our students. We have Miss Christine Flood, an art teacher, and I know she's here because I see her. Ms. Flood is very creative. She came to me and she says, hey, Dr. Pennyman, we have this STEAM program going on the weekend, which she does work. And she says, this is such a great program, our Flying Classroom. I'd like to be able to see other students attend. She said, so I'm going to make sure that I go to the high school and speak to Mr. Campbell, so we can put this on the announcement in the morning. But I've been in there on the weekend, I've observed her in the flying classroom, I've seen her in her classroom. She's very passionate. She's passionate about building relationships with our students, which we know is helps with student success. And I just wanted to recognize Miss Christine Flood tonight. I'd like to recognize Mr. Eric Gregory. He's the TA at Blue Hawk. I don't know if he's here, but I do want to say that, again, Mr. Gregory and there's a few more Blue Hawk team members that I'm going to recognize tonight. But they're doing an exceptional job with the students in Blue Hawk. They have built relationship with them. They have supported the students where they're actually excelling in their classes right now. They have improved all around in the Blue Hawk Academy, and I just wanted to say thank you to Mr. Gregory. And we have Miss Allison Hagner from she's an MCSES teacher. What I've observed about Miss Hagner over the past year is just her passion, her ability to use data, her passion around using data. Mrs. Hagner also is the one who always takes notes in every single district leadership team that she's been on with me. And she's participated and lent her voice and her expertise to the school improvement plan, the district improvement plan, the strategic plan. So I thought that and she is well respected by her peers at the elementary school. And she shows great leadership in making sure that, those PLCs are implemented and really doing a great job with supporting the MTSS process in the elementary school. So Mrs. Hunt. We have next is Mr. Darnell Harris. He's our school monitor. But he's not only our school monitor, he works with our students in the Blue Hawk Academy. Mr. Harris is one of those quiet but very resourceful people in our district. He's one of the people that our students feel very comfortable around. He builds relationships with our students. And we found out the other day that he knows how to play the piano. So we actually challenged him to come and play the piano. But I also would like to say, if our music teachers are watching, tap into him, because he can play the piano really, really well. So I'd like to recognize Mr. Darnell Harris just for everything he does every day for our students. He also drives the van sometimes when we need him to take the students on trips or different places. I'm not sure if she's here, but Mrs. Rebecca Mabey, our junior high school teacher. I've been in Miss Mabey's class several times this year, but I tell you what, I felt like she needed a spotlight on excellence, because I have seen the most inviting classroom conducive to learning. But not only that, if you ever go to Mrs. Mabey's class, her transition in the classroom, the way the students move, they know exactly what to do, but her transition in the classroom. She also uses brain-based strategies where she has music in the classroom, but her classroom is very inviting, and it's so comfortable to be in there and want to stay in there. And so, but I was very impressed by her transitional activity when the students are transitioning, from their seats to maybe a group work or a hands-on activity. So Mrs. Rebecca Mabey just wanted to give her a spotlight on excellence for her great classroom environment, as well as the best transition from activity that I've seen in a long time in a classroom. Missy Noblin's not here, but I thought that she deserved a spotlight on excellence for just really holding down the Human Resources Department before Ms. Brooks came. Ms. Noblin did an excellent job there, so I thought that it was worth just recognizing her for that. And next we have Mr. Larry Walker. Mr. Walker is a restorative practice specialist, and anything that's too hard for the building leaders, when they can't get through to a student, everyone knows we call Larry. Larry has built relationships with our students. He understands a lot of the students, and before they speak to one of us sometimes, they'd rather speak to Mr. Walker. I've seen him in action. I've seen how he's able to calm a situation, but it's also the way he runs our restorative practice circles. He's done an exceptional job, and he is, he is just, I want to say, one of those employees who definitely every day that he's here, the students gravitate to him. So I do want to say, give a spotlight on excellence to Mr. Larry Walker. Each month, I will have spotlight on excellence for all staff members, for custodians. This is just not for our teachers, because you're welcome. I definitely believe in giving kudos when it's necessary and spotlighting those in our districts who are doing exceptional things. So next month, I have every board meeting, I will have spotlight on excellence. So everyone who's here, if your name was called, if you just come up and I'll just do it through a spot. And I have one more addition to the spotlight on excellence before I move and finish my superintendent's report before I move into it. This person does not have an award. However, they're back with us in the district. Kelly McDonald is back as our payroll clerk. And I just want to say publicly, thank you, Kelly, for everything that you've done since you've been back. No one can do the job like you, so I'm glad to have you back. So just during the past few weeks, as you can see, just some of the activities that I've done, just around the district with the basketball games, et cetera, STEM Academy, flying classrooms. Those are just some of the places I have been over the past few weeks. And now we'll have our department updates. Each department will give you an update. And to begin, I'm going to just give you a brief overview of the athletic department because Mr. Briscoe couldn't be here tonight. There's basketball games going on right now. So basically, the winter sports season is definitely going well for Mr. Briscoe. He's fielded teams of the modified level of boys and girls basketball and volleyball. They have junior high varsity team with boys and girls basketball. The varsity teams include bowling, boys and girls swimming, boys volleyball, basketball, cheerleading, boys and girls basketball. And I want to say this year, there's really a lot of girls involved in basketball, and girls that I have never seen played last year. So I'm really impressed by the number of participants we've had this year, especially at the junior high level, the modified level. Also, all of the athletes have been working hard to improve every day. Some highlights of the season so far include the varsity bowling team. They finished with a 12-4 record and placed 4th at the Patroon Conference Championship. The varsity boys volleyball team has also made significant strides, and they're improving from just 1 win last year to 6 wins this year, with just a few matches still remaining. The JV boys basketball team currently holds a record of 14-1, woohoo, while the varsity boys basketball team is at 13-3 with a chance to win the Patroon Conference title as the season comes to a close. The girls basketball program initially started with very low numbers, but the coaches did an excellent job recruiting, ensuring that there was enough players to field the teams at all levels. And they continue to work hard and focus on finishing the season strongly. And then we hosted the league championship for swimming on February 1st. And everything ran smoothly, and we got to showcase our facilities well. We have one of the best, if not the best, pool in Columbia County. As the winter season nears end, we hope to see success at the sectional level from some of our teams, and we will soon begin preparing our athletes for the upcoming spring season. Now we'll have an update from Ms. Brooks, the Human Resources Department.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Good evening, board. This is not my usual thing, presenting, so we're just going to go through this very nicely and smoothly. We just want to say that we've been making a lot of strides, a lot of changes in human resources. There's a lot of things moving and pieces moving. There's one piece that we worked on this past week or so was changing the current statement that's on our job postings. Currently, our equal opportunity statement reads as the Hudson City School District offers employment educational opportunities, including vocational educational opportunities without regard to sex, race, color, national origin, or handicap. We welcome applications from those who contribute to our diversity. As you can see, some of the terms are really outdated in that sentence. I thought it was very imperative that we kind of come together as a district as we're changing and we're moving along to modify the statement, and it reads as such: as an equal affirmative action employer, the Hudson City School District does not discriminate on the basis of age, race, color, national origin, sex, sexual orientation, disability, or marital status in employment or any of the educational programs and activities which it offers on operation as required to do so by the Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, Title IX of the Educational Amendments of the 1972, Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973, the Age Discrimination Act of 1975, and the New York State Human Rights Laws. So we encompassed everything into it all as a blanket statement. Also, I'm quite sure everyone knows there's been some moving around, so we haven't had a permanent business official personnel. However, we've had interim, and in the absence of that, the Human Resources Department and the Business Department has been working really side by side to make sure that everything is really trying to get together and stay efficient inside of the district as well. I would like to definitely welcome Tracy Gaffney to the Human Resources Department. She's supporting us over there with a lot of initiatives that we have, and now we're able to realign some of the HR duties, whether it's instructional and administrative and then non-instructional. So Missy Noble will be dealing with non-instructional, Tracy will be dealing with the other half, so we have some type of direction. There will be an organizational chart coming out soon with just the different kind of responsibilities like FMLA, workforce comp, and things of that sort. As we get our whole team, which we have together, now we can really kind of push things out in a systematic way. We're definitely cross-training in the HR department, so it's a lot of exposing each other to everything so that we are aligned in all different directions. We're also taken on a lot of training from school front and WNCAP so that we can push down some information down to the buildings and resources so they can actually use the software to the best of this ability to all of the magnitude that we have paid for. We can use it because we're not really using everything to the maximum. So we're trying to move in that direction as well. And the final bullet that's the most important is that we have secured our Executive Director of Business and Finance, Director of Student Services, and we have Kelly McDonald back. So we've been working. I'm happy that the team is finally coming together, and we're going to be moving in a very positive and efficient way. Thank you and good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, I have notes. They're in my computer. Good evening. First of all, in the Teaching and Learning Department, we have been extremely busy, as you can all imagine. We have been finishing our Fast Bridge data collection because the students are done taking that benchmark assessment that happened during the months of January and February. And so what you have in front of you is two different triangles. One is for reading, the other one is for math, and they're middle of the year results. So I didn't have enough space to put all of the comparison between fall and middle of the year results. So what you have in front of you is just the middle of the year. But I like to give you kind of like some figures so you can keep it in the back of your mind when you look at this. So what you see in front of you are the middle of the year results, like I stated. And so 950 students tested in grades K through 8. So this does not include the high school. 374 students are considered Tier 1, which is 39% in reading, which remained the same as in the fall administration. In reading, there are no changes across the tiers. Tier 1 remains at 39%, Tier 2 at 28%, and Tier 3 at 31% in the fall, and 32% in the winter, 1% up. In math, out of the 948 students that tested, 34% or 325 students are considered Tier 1, and there was a drop in Tier 1 from 40% in the fall to 34% in the winter. 79 students went from Tier 1 to Tier 2, and 13 went from 1 to 3. At Tier 2 in the fall, we had 260 students, or 29%, and in the winter, we had 326 students, or 34% of our students in Tier 2. Of the 260 students, 162 remained in Tier 2, 57 dropped to Tier 3, and 41 went up to Tier 1. So that 41% going to Tier 1, it's a reason to celebrate. That's a good thing. At Tier 3, we had 259 students, or 29% in the fall, and in the winter, we had 299 students, or 31% of the students. Of the 259, 193 remained at Tier 3, 57 went to Tier 2, and 9 went to Tier 1. So that 9 is also a good reason to celebrate, and also the 57 that went to from Tier 3 to Tier 2. So in a nutshell, those are the middle of the year results. We also did simulations, our CBT simulations, our computer-based testing simulations that we are required to administer per the New York State Education Department. And we did that, and there were no hiccups, thank goodness. We had everything run smoothly. The feedback that we got from teachers was that everything went well. We did have some students who encountered difficulties with the tools in the computer, so like a calculator or something they needed to use. So more practice will be provided for the students in math. And to that end, teachers are using FinTech, which is a website where they can see actual items that would appear on a test, like the format of the test. So students familiarize themselves with the tools and the format of the test. of the state test. So the board also asked me to share some information regarding the purpose of our district's literacy committee and PD committees. The literacy committee is comprised of teachers, administrators, and literacy coaches. We are conducting a needs assessment, which will shed hopefully some light on the actual instructional practices that we use in classrooms to teach reading and writing from K through 12. In the first meeting, we found no system-wide approach to teaching ELA that was consistent and cohesive throughout K through 12. Therefore, this team will create the literacy framework for the district. So their charge is we're all going to get together as a team, and we're going to put together a document that will lay out specifically how reading and writing should be taught across the district. The PD committee, which comprises teachers and administrators, aims to align our PD with the district's strategic plan goals, including the 6 keys to school improvement and our DSIP. So all of those goals that you see in those documents and the 6 keys will be embedded into the professional learning plan for the district. We are currently looking at a draft proposal and making changes, and we're doing that by sections, 1 section at a time. Our teachers and building leaders are also busy as they continue to provide embedded PD in various ways. They're also meeting in PLCs as grade level content and content levels and department heads to plan together and monitor student progress. And that is it for me, unless you have any questions.
I do have a question.
Yes.
For math, if they're using the tools, are they also allowed to use like a handheld calculator or something that they're used to using in the classroom for the test, or do they have to just use the tools?
They have to use the tools in the CBT. So, but teachers are providing that extra support, and I practice during the day, like every day, and practicing with those tools using, like I said, the ThinkTech. So they have to use that. What they're allowed to have is for the math, they're allowed to have paper and pencil on the side just to, if they have to jot down some notes or work out a problem. But they must have access to that tool, and the teachers are using that in their classroom and in their teaching as well to prepare the students. Yes?
Do teachers receive individual students' data from the FastBridge testing?
Yes.
Okay. And is that data expected to be acted upon by teachers, or is there no incentive?
Yes, so we use that data to group our students. So let's say, for instance, we have in grade 3, we have X number of students that fall under tier 3. They require intensive interventions, more frequency, and perhaps the intent of the intervention it's there for those students. They require pull-out services. So it informs our decision-making process when we are looking at groups of students, and it also informs how our students are doing from tier to tier. So the figures that I gave you, for instance, that's in Branching Minds, our platform that we use, and it gives us individual student data, and it also gives us by grade level, teacher, you name it. So we can utilize the data in many different ways. Good question, thank you.
Oh, I have another question. What about the high school data? Is that going to be presented at another time, or?
I can, and I will. At the time when I created this slide, the high school was not done with their testing.
All right.
That's why you don't see the high school data up there. So I could present that at the next meeting.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions?
Just clarify, tier 1 is?
Your core instruction. That's
and-
that's where all the students should be.
Right, proficient. Right,
Yes.
cool.
Mhm.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So I wanted to make sure that the board heard from all of the departments. So I have a brief update from the business department for you. They've started meeting with department heads and I to start developing the 2025 budget. Next year's budget, besides doing that, the department is keeping up with all the day-to-day operation. That just keeps things flowing in the district, and we're working with the auditors on closing the 2024 school year. It's been challenging for the entire department not having full-time staff filling positions, but everyone is contributing a little extra to get the work and reporting done in a timely manner. I do want to say Susan Hutter, her last day with us is Friday, but as you know, we will have Miss Cynthia Rayom, that will be filling in, and she has over 25 years of experience as a business official, so she'll fill in until Miss Ferry comes on board.
Great.
Next
Thank
up is Dr. Pressey.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, board. Oh, it's here. I'd like to start off by saying, I really appreciate their leaving, but Larry and Darren have come together. They're collaborating. They're in MBK, FSEP, which is Family and Community Engagement Program. And what they've done is they've come together and they came up with this great idea. Every other week, let's have a meal with the students at lunchtime. Bring them together, talk, let them express themselves, and also make sure that they're heard. It's one thing when a student talks to you, but are you listening? And so what happened was, there was a student who dropped out and was literally not coming to school. He heard about that collaboration, that we call it koinonia or fellowship. He is back in school. He's a high school student, and he feels like he's part of a team. That is powerful, because we have to always make sure that as the kids are in the center, if they're going through a storm, we're listening, and we provide an on-ramp so they can come back, be embraced, and participate in the learning. So I'm proud of them for that. I scheduled meetings with the music department as well as Beautiful Racket. Those of you who know about Beautiful Racket, Miss Anise, she has a wonderful choir. It's a community choir, and they perform in the community. And she also does some work at lunchtime. She'll come in and, you know, she's with the students. Well, guess what? We're going to do a collaboration with the music department. So I'm looking forward to the outcome of that meeting. So I scheduled that. Also, we are looking at the code of conduct. We want to encourage all of our stakeholders who are participating to please provide feedback. We believe that a collaborative approach is best because we need all voices. So please do participate and provide that feedback. The first set of code of conduct policies were sent out. We've already sent the second set out, so we're looking forward to the feedback. We have an MBK student who is a humble young man, very smart young man, a gentleman. He graduated in January, and I'm so proud of him, we're so proud of him, but he graduated and just kind of quietly walked out, and he is going to college. So I just want to say, if he and his family are watching, congratulations, Jared. We did call him on the phone, and we are going to have him back to have an MBK celebration for him. Now, He has been invited to MBK programming. We're going to SUNY on Thursday, weather permitting. There's a stand and deliver event where the students come and they share. They share a speech before their peers. And then they're having another fun activity where they'll bring the students together. So we're proud of Jared Alert, who graduated in January. Also, we're going to have our 21st century after-school program being evaluated. Our consultant, the Brockport Research Institute, comes at least twice a year to look at our after-school programming. And then they write a report. They observe, they ask questions. They stay from 2:30 until 6:30 p.m. So they go to MC Smith, they go to the junior high, as well as the high school. So we're looking forward to them coming and seeing the great things that we're doing with our students. So you know we have the Cartwheel telehealth services for students who need counseling after school hours and on weekends. So I read and approve those services. I'm happy to report one of our students who graduated from the services. They no longer need the counseling and they are doing well. So it's really great that we're able to offer this to our students in conjunction with, in addition to, our incredible mental health team here in the district. Guess what? It's that time of year. We are going to be completing the school improvement surveys. So, I've already gotten them ready. I just got the list from Cheryl Rabinowitz and Austin, and we're ready to go. But before we do send them out to everyone, we are going to create a fun video to encourage everyone. We truly want 100% participation. All voices matter, period. We can't do this work without you. We need you. So we're excited about that, and that concludes my part of this. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you.
Good evening. Pardon my voice, I'm getting over bronchitis, so it may be a little hoarse, so I apologize in advance. What I'm going to speak to you briefly is about our records grant, computerized testing, Google update, and some other information for cybersecurity training. The first thing is our records grant. The district was awarded a records grant for $70,000, and we utilized the funding to hire a project coordinator, project staff, and the main purpose and focus of the grant is to purge old records that we no longer need, organize records that we do need, and plan for digitization in the future. So the project staff has been meeting with our record consultants and myself. I'm the project coordinator, and they've been trained, and they're coming back, the BOCES consultants, again later on this month, to do more training and to purge records. And the grant goes to June 30th. And at some point, we will also come here and present a report of everything that's been done. So we've been working on that. The next piece you heard Dr. Courtright-Torres talk about the computerized testing. There's a lot of collaboration that goes on with Dr. Courtright, Dr. Pressey, the building principals, Dr. Pennyman, as well as IT. And also the testing coordinators. On the IT side, we make sure all the devices are ready. There's the students who may need an accommodation or headphones. We make sure everything's charged. And as you heard Dr. Courtright said, everything went very well. And we look forward to supporting them when we do the actual testing. And we also worked with the high school when they did the regents. So there's a lot of that background stuff. Next is the Googleable update. You may have heard, as parents and community members, we sent out communication. We received guidance from New York State about Google. We subscribe to Google services for our students and our staff and our administrators. It's throughout the whole district. And there are some resources that Google and the state recommend that we do not use anymore. They do not want us to use it. They're actually shutting it off permanently on March 1st because of data collection. So these links, I'll just pull them up for you. This one, this is all the Google services we currently have available to students. Students can use any of these. We don't use chat. We don't use Google Chat, but students can use any of these. Not a problem. Bless you. Okay. And then these are the additional Google services that we are shutting, that has been shut off, actually. It was shut off yesterday. The teachers still have full access to everything, and if there's resources here that they want the students to have, like example, YouTube videos, they could still use YouTube. They would embed them into Google Classroom or a Google document, and the students would be able to still access it. So it's not that the students are doing without, it's just it's going through the teacher. And our instructional technology coaches, as well as our IT department, are here to help any teacher who needs assistance. And so far, it's been pretty smooth. And a communication did go out. And then lastly, as you've heard me speak before about cybersecurity awareness, we have done training in the past for our staff, and we used the program KnowBe4. The new one that's being rolled out actually starts tomorrow. Is called CyberNut. It's actually a little blue squirrel. It's where teachers will watch a 2-minute video. It just shows them the onboarding, and then they can, and not only teachers, any staff member. And then in a few weeks, they'll do training campaigns where they send out phishing emails that are not real. But the staff could also report not only the fake ones, but if they see a real one, they can report it. And it kind of builds up, their knowledge of cybersecurity training. And that's phase 1. Phase 2, we would look to also do this for students. There's a component of this for students so that there's cybersecurity training for students, and that will start in the fall, okay? And that's all, unless you have any questions.
What does the
Sure.
cybersecurity training for students look like? Is it similar to the phishing scam thing?
Yes, it is. It's like for the younger students, it just comes down a little bit to their level, but it is. It's all student-oriented.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Cheryl.
You're welcome. And
The next update we'll have is by our transportation consultant, Mr. Bill Muirhead.
Everyone on the board gets a weekly report, so you're familiar with what's been going on. I guess we'll start from the top. When I first got here, I reviewed all the transportation contracts, 23, 24, because I needed some backup on 24, 25. Noticed that contract numbers were not correct, so I called the state, asked about updates on our contracts. Just yesterday, I bid 3 runs, and we will now get state reimbursement because they're true and valid. Before, if you have a transportation run and you don't have a contract, or you have a contract and it's not been approved, you're losing 50% of that. That comes back to us. So that was my biggest first 2 weeks, and I wanted to dive into everything else, but we had to get that done because we were losing money every day. Completed the fall. Well, when I got here, I noticed we didn't have bus safety drills, which are required the first 7 days in September. So I did one right away when I got here, I think around November 12th, and then the next week I did the other one. So we are in compliance with New York State education. The next one will be, it's between March and April. Traversa, it's a student transportation software. we have had this since 2023. We have not been utilizing it. With the help of Cheryl and IT, we now have passwords. We're in it. We got some training coming up. And it's very important because you're going to find out a lot of things about that besides efficiency, effectiveness, safety. Safety, knowing what kids are on what bus. So that's going to be coming. It's going to take a while because we have to route every single child. But once that's done, it rolls over every year. No more Excel. When you register a student, the computer at night puts that student on the correct bus. So it's really brilliant, and we're finally going to be utilizing it. The two schools that I talked to and interviewed, the transportation directors, Germantown and Ichabod Crane, also use Traversa. Working with Hudson City School District's Internal ID Department, SED Pupil Transportation ID Department, NARIC, and Microsoft 365, back to contracts. Since September, you actually have to put the contracts into a computerized SharePoint where the business manager sees it, the board president will see it, the contractor will see it, we all sign it, and then the state will get it. So we're not in compliance, but we will be. So we're doing old school, I'm scanning them, and they're cool with it only because I told them that pretty soon we're gonna be up and running on SharePoint. F1 visa for an exchange student, they go to Hawthorne Valley. In the past, we just let them go. If they're from, say, Brazil, Japan, you have to have the F1 visa on file. We never had that before. We are in compliance. All board approved contracts, checking contracts for approval from SED. I'm continually doing that. Checking each dollar amount on submitted contracts to make sure they match the district purchase order and match the billing. They did not. They do now with an approved contract number on the billing invoice that will match the purchase order, that will match the most important, an approved contract, the number from the state. Transportation policy needs to be reviewed and updated. If you go online, you'll see the last time was 2015, so we'll probably set up some kind of committee and go through those and update those. Again, back to fiscal responsibility. Contracts, purchase orders, invoices, main runs, sports trips, field trips, accountability. And we're close for me to give you a realistic budget. Realistic budget. Having said that, there's a lot of unknowns. Just the other day, I did 2 McKinney-Ventos. One's in Canaan, one's in East Durham. You can't budget for those. We don't know if there's going to be a homeless student and how far they're going to be. So it'll be realistic to the point of I know what we're going to be spending this year, last year, and the year before. I checked 3 years back. Corrected 3 runs with a bid opening, as I mentioned yesterday. So starting tomorrow, those runs, since September, we're getting no aid. But starting tomorrow, we will get aid. That's a lot of money we're going to be getting now. Streamlined transportation contracts with purchase orders and invoices. That was critical. Updated requests for transportation to non-public schools, 2526, in accordance with Section 365. So what that is, it's the non-public schools, Hawthorne, Montessori. We need to get these back by April 1st. It's the law. If we get them back by April 1st, we're good. They can go to those non-public charter schools. Secured 231-day emergency contracts. Those are the ones I was just talking about, and they just happened. Had to go through. So an emergency contract, the first thing I want to do is try to do an intermunicipal contract with another district that's already going there, that owns their own buses. Costs like that. I struck out on that, so the next step was just, we need to get the kids here. We need to get those kids here, for real. And it happened, and we're good. So Those are 31-day emergencies. I'll keep in touch with them, and if it looks like it's going to continue, I will do a RFP till the end of June, and we get aid for all those. So this could have been 20 pages, but if you guys have any questions.
The transportation runs you said that are now eligible for aid, is that aid retroactive, or do we just get it from this point forward?
So what I'm going to do, Mary DeGroff, Student Pupil Services, I am going to plead with her. Technically, most likely, if the contract was done and it was not approved because of an error, then I think we will be able to get it. The ones I'm talking about, there's nothing. Because there are a couple that I'm looking at that I'm pretty sure won't get approved. If I have to drive up to SCD in Albany, plead my case, do a new contract, and show that we bid it, then yes, we may be able to get that back. I've done that before. It's a good question.
And the transportation to the non-public schools, can you just explain a little more about how that works?
So, well, there's special ed,
Yeah.
and then there's
if it's
non-public.
Non-public.
So
that's what I'm asking
non-public,
about.
it's a 15-mile radius, and we will bring students to those schools, Hawthorne, Montessori, and Catholic something, I can't remember, but there's one other one. So we transport to those schools. The item I was telling you about is at all 3 of those schools and on our website. And the schools are handing them out to the people that go there. So it's a charter school, private
Those are
school.
private, not
Sorry,
charters,
sorry.
yeah. And is that common that, like, the district public school pays for transport to a private school?
It's the law.
Okay, got it.
15
Could be,
miles.
Yep, that's what I'm asking.
Yep, 15 miles.
Got it.
Okay?
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, and I just want to say thank you to IT, to the business office, and everyone, just the team. They're awesome, because I know they're all busy, and I'm knocking on their door asking for information. You know, I know they're in there, but thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
That ends the superintendent reports, and that included all departments.
Thank you very much.
Now the consistent agenda items. I'd like to make a motion. Wait, is everyone good with it? I'd like to make a motion to approve consistent agenda items A through H.
Aye.
Second.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh,
Say-
aye? Sorry, sorry.
Oh,
Oh, it is.
see, mine's wrong. Oh, aye, okay.
A through I, seconded.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
All in favor? Anybody else sign up to speak? No? Okay.
They said no.
No?
They said no, Leslie.
Leslie, nobody signed up.
The upcoming meetings. Policy Committee meeting February 25th, 2025, 5 to 5:45 p.m., the high school library. Board of Education meeting February 25th, 2025, 6 p.m. in the high school auditorium. Policy Committee meeting March 11th, 2025, 5 to 5:45 p.m. in the high school library. Board of Education meeting March 11th, 2025, 6 p.m. in the high school auditorium. Okay. At this time, we do have a need for this second executive session. Be it resolved, the Board of Education enter executive session at 7:37 for the purpose of proposed acquisition, sales, and lease of real property, discussing employment history of particular persons, and to appoint Mark DePace as clerk pro tem.
Second? All in favor? Great.
Okay.
All right. Be no further business after this session. Thank you all for being here.
So can you guys give your
tomorrow.
folders
Thank
to
you.
Les at the end of the night?
Yeah.
Yep.